So, area number 2 out of 4 for the pre-release reviews. The first impressions. Welcome to Jeju Island, or I mean Murrowak's Labyrinth, I mean, come on, if you've read Solo Leveling, you know this is basically the Jeju Island anti-extermination mission in a nutshell. But yeah, let's talk about this place. The Murrowak's Labyrinth, it's located here, if you didn't unlock the full map yet, and this is an instanced grinding location. You talk to this portal, you get teleported inside, and at least in my case I was always sent to the exact same room, which is this one. The first area is the monster grinding location, and as you move a little bit up you see another smaller room, which is basically empty, where I put down my tent and where I go AFK. Throughout my hours I did bounce between two different rooms. This would be the second one, and randomly at some point I did get teleported into this one instead, which is, let's say, the third room. I'm pretty sure on the official server with a contested area you might just simply get teleported to a random room, not the same one like myself, but this test server is pretty much empty, so I got the exact same room every single time. The recommended AP for the Labyrinth is 280 AP, as the map says. The more you have, the better, obviously, but this is what I used. On this server I still only have access to the Dracania class, that's what I grinded on, with the Succession, 300 plus AP, and for DP, what I have is pretty much the minimum I would recommend to kind of somewhat feel safe grinding here. Even with 370 DP, I did die quite often, although I should point out, most of the times, maybe half of them, I died because my 100% skill animation is very long, it's only super armor, and it locks me into place with no way to cancel it. And these are the add-ons I had for the Jade Forest grind, but I changed them into as much HP recovery as possible, just to hopefully stay alive longer. So, mechanics, the reason why you're here in the first place. Let's take them in order. As you start grinding, the first thing you will notice is that this area is very comparable to the Stars and Towers. It's basically a wave type of grinding. Here, the monster wave lasts for about 13 to 14 minutes, and after which it stops and there is a 30 seconds to 1 minute gap before the next wave starts again. The entire grinding is essentially you do the whole wave from start to end, and after which you restart the whole process over and over. The end of the wave is marked by this blue message on the screen where it says the portal was activated, and believe it or not, it took me the whole first 2 hours to realize that after the blue message appears, you can legit just talk to the portal and get teleported to a different room and start the next wave without having to wait that 1 minute of cooldown. But that's your choice, it's up to you. I would recommend you to go to the tent and repair in that 1 minute of downtime, because you will get quite a bit of punches to the face and your gear might just break halfway through the hour. My first advice as you grind is to never ever get to see this red message on the screen, because that's basically death. If you see that message, then the earthquakes will start and they deal a lot of damage, and essentially you will be forced to reset your wave. It only took me about 15 minutes to realize that it says burrows on the name, which means try to kill the burrows that spawn around the walls of the cave as often as possible. Don't let those stockpile. I don't know how many of them have to be spawned at once for that event to happen, but I'm willing to bet at the very least 3+. After the first 15 minutes I've never seen that event happen again, because I just constantly killed them on sight. The next advice, there are 2 types of monsters with white names on top of them. One of them seems to be laying down eggs. I have no idea why, because he's pretty squishy and as the burrows just kill it on sight, and another one that burrows itself underground and causes earthquakes that deal a decent amount of damage. Both of them, as per usual, just anything that isn't a minion, kill it on sight. And now let's talk about the fun mechanics. As you keep on grinding, as the minutes go by, you will see this message on the screen: the first commander will spawn. This is essentially just simply an elite type of monster, nothing really much to it. It's a bit tankier and it buffs the other minions around it to deal more damage. When this one dies, it has a very low chance to drop one of the crystal carapaces, from what I've noticed, the yellow crystals on your inventory, which are basically the currency of this area. As the minutes keep going by, about halfway through your wave, so let's say 7 minutes in, you will see your first general spawn. There are two types of generals. I call them the fake one and the real one. This is a fake general. It's basically just an inflated bigger elite. He also buffs the other minions around it. It's just, again, just simply a bigger elite, not much to it. And when he dies, when this one dies, has a higher chance to drop the crystal carapace, the currency thingy. It's not 100% drop rate, but it's pretty high. And then you have the real general, this one that actually says general on top of the name, and this one, you know it's real because he can summon or call to his side the other commanders, the mini elites, 2 of them in fact. The second general, so essentially this one, or maybe you get unlucky and spawn the first one, the fake one, a second time, will appear close to the end of the wave, so around minute 12. The real general has, from what I noticed, 100% chance to drop the crystal carapace, and at the end of every single wave you usually end up with 2 of those crystals. If you multiply that by 4 and assume a wave is close to 15 minutes, then you should expect around, let's say, 7 to 8 of those crystals per hour. And finally, you have the boss. When the boss appears, you will be greeted with this message on the screen, at which point you can just simply stop grinding, go to the portal, and get teleported to the boss room. The boss room is shared with the other players, which means you will probably see 3, 4, or 5 other adventurers to help you kill the boss faster. My prediction is that on the live servers, you will probably spawn the boss once per hour or once every 2 hours, because there will be a lot more players to contest the area. But in my case, being alone, I only saw the boss appear 2 times in 5.5 hours. He's not really all that special, he's just the leveled up version of the generals. He can spawn or call the other generals and commanders to his side as extra minions, and he has an AoE that stuns you through super armor, so be careful on that one. When the boss dies, Tori the NPC will finally spawn, which will happily take all of your crystals. Remember the crystal currency I mentioned earlier? Yeah, you exchange them at this guy. It's a 1-to-1 ratio, 1 crystal for 1 chest. And these chests are basically why you want to grind here in the first place, because they have a chance when you open them to give you the frosty ember, which is used for the helmet. Fun fact, I actually ended up getting more embers here than at Jade Forest, so there's that, I suppose. And yeah, that's basically it for the mechanics. After the boss, you go back to the cave and restart your normal wave grinding. The loot table here looks a bit like this. You still have a chance to drop artifacts and lightstones, which are not listed here apparently. These crystals, which we will see on the live servers exactly how much they are worth and how profitable they are. The ook pills. Funny, which I did drop one of, and again we will see on live servers how much this one is worth and if it's actually valuable, and some new crystals for the shoes, for knockdown resistance, for knockback resistance, grapple resistance, and stun resistance. The standard stuff, this is the trash item, the flame, the embers for the helmet, the crystals, the currency, Khafra's dust, and this one bound item, as I've seen one of them on Jade Forest. It's probably something impressive, amazing, who knows, we will find out in about a week or so. At the end of my 5.5 hours, this is the loot that I personally got on just a yellow loot scroll, and as you can already see, it's not really that impressive, not exactly amazing or groundbreaking. If I put everything in Excel, then this is the conclusion or the result for today. About 200-ish million silver per hour with 12.3 thousand trash per hour clearing speed on a yellow loot scroll, and let's just say my pets were not exactly maxed out, so I fully expect on the live servers that people will average maybe around 16,000 trash on a yellow loot scroll and 250 million silver on yellow. Not exactly amazing. Once everything is valued properly with a proper prices on the live server, I predict around 300 to 350 million silver. That's my prediction. Let's see if I'm right or wrong. If you look at my trash breakdown, certain hours did extend past a full hour or were under a full hour because I tried to end my sessions at the end of a certain wave to maximize these Carapace crystal drops. The fourth one was done on a blue loot scroll, kind of by accident. The last one, a blue loot scroll plus Agris, just to test the efficiency. And Agris specifically related, this is the breakdown. Minions burn 8 points, the commanders and the generals 16 Agris, and the boss itself 160 points. I burned this amount of points in 32 minutes, blah blah blah. The conclusion is just this number. This is the only one that matters. It's about 17,000 for efficiency, which is essentially once again around 2 rows, which is really good. I fully recommend you to burn Agris points here. 30,000 points burned per hour with this kind of speed, but I expect on live servers this number to be around 40,000. And lastly, I suppose as ending statements, once again the Caphra drop rate here seems to be pretty bad. It will probably be better with better clearing speed. Who knows if this area will be buffed for the live servers. The Blackstones, meh, whatever. I did have 3 crystal leftovers, these which were not exchanged, and 7 frosty embers out of 5.5 hours. I predict on the live servers it will be usually 2 or 3 embers per hour. That's what you should probably expect without the drop rate buffs, without the tent buff. I'm sure when this area gets officially released we will get a drop rate event going. Just watch it happen. In any case, I will see you next time with a different pre-release area. Until then, stay happy, hope you enjoyed this one, have fun grinding and exterminating the Jeju Island ants, and yeah, bye bye.